Hey guys, welcome back to Elizabeth Mayhem. In today's video, I'm going to be doing a review on Everything Is Not Enough by Lola Akinmade Akerstrom, which is the sequel to Every Mirror She's Black. This book is in multi-point of view narrative and it's written in close third person. So, the story is set in Stockholm, Sweden. The novel follows three black women from different traumas seeking validation, right? In a predominantly white, often subtly racist society. Alright, so we have three protagonists. We have Kemi Adeyemi, who is the Nigerian-American executive who seems to have everything put together, but then realizes that her job and personal life are performative and unfulfilling, causing her to make destructive decisions. The next protagonist, we have Brittany Ray von Luden, who's a former model and is trapped in an unhappy, controlling marriage, and she's married to a billionaire, Johnny, and she must uncover her husband's dark secrets to protect her daughter. Now remember, in the first book, she meets Johnny, right? And I don't want to say too much because I don't want to spoil it. And then the third protagonist, we have Yasmin, who is a Somali refugee and a struggling makeup artist. Now, she is the flatmate of Muna, right? And then she becomes the caretaker and investigator for her friend, Muna. And again, I don't want to say too much. So this book explores relying on external achievements or relationships, and it basically leaves these three women feeling empty, like there's a void. So that's what this book is about. And this book also talks about how everything is not enough. Kemi is with Tobias, but she is kind of like having an affair. And then we have Brittany Ray, who wants to leave her marriage. So it's like everything that they have is just not enough for them. And these are black women who are in a predominantly subtly racist society. And sometimes you just gotta think to yourself, like, if you are a person of color, you want to try and make it anywhere. And, being in a predominantly white society, you just gotta keep going, keep pushing forward. So it's like, okay, all of these good things are happening to you, but it's still not enough. So yeah. Okay, what did I dislike about this novel? I dislike the part where Ragnar's daughter calls Kemi the N-word when they were at the party hosted by, not hosted, but it was from Yoni. The fact that the writer got an underage person, like this is a 2-year-old, or I think she's, okay, let's just say under 4, to say a racial stir, to cause a racial stir or a slur. I mean, I just don't find that interesting because, she's just a kid. Children do say rude things. They even put up the middle finger because not only do they learn from their parents, but they learn from the whole environment. So I just didn't find that part interesting. I think it would have been better if the author got one of the colleagues to call Kemi the N-word in private. I think that would have caused more tension. Now, of course, because it's an adult, the adult can't just call Kemi the N-word out of the blue. There has to be a reason for it. But I just think, okay, maybe if she was to create a reason for it, calling her the N-word in private, I think that would be more interesting than, someone who's underage, under 4, a toddler, calling Kemi the N-word. Now, what did I like? I like the part when Yoni introduced Brittany I like the part when Yoni introduced Brittany to his mum. That part where the mum, her name's Astrid, is talking to Yoni in front of Brittany, and she speaks full on Swedish, and then Brittany is struggling to understand what Astrid is saying, but she can just tell by the tone of her voice that she's not happy. And she's not happy that, her son's with a black woman. And then Brittany then relies on a sharp assistant, Amani, to translate what Astrid said, which, unbeknown to Yoni and Astrid, she records the conversation, and then she sends it to Amani, and then she translates it through email, right? And it's basically like cutting through passive aggressiveness, the matriarchal gaslighting. And I also like the part where Amani reveals the devastating truth about Yoni's deceased first love, and the part where Brittany goes to London to meet the Danielses, basically Maya Daniels' family. Okay, who is my favorite character? So in this book, okay, so the first one in Everything Is Not Enough was Mina, was my favorite character. This one, my favorite character would have to be Yoni. I think for this one, the way he's just controlling and dominant to Brittany, and he just has this stoic attitude, his behavior. And I also like the part when he fired Kemi from her job. Not that it was a good thing, but the fact that, in the workplace, the workers were, there was this rumor about Kemi having an affair with Ragnar, and the fact that he fired Kemi, but not his friend, his best friend, was quite interesting, because it just shows, while they were both involved in the situation, it just shows how Ragnar is shielded by his race and gender privilege and his close personal ties with the company leadership, Yoni. Ragnar is the boss's best friend. So yeah, I think, like, even though what happened to Kemi wasn't good, but I just found that part interesting. Like, if you read it, like I read the first one, I read it, and then halfway through I read it with the audio, because I was just taking too long to finish the book, because it was one of the books chosen in the book club that I've decided to join, and in this one, I decided to read this by myself. It wasn't chosen by the book club, but I had to read the sequel, so I decided to read it with the audio. And the way, when you read the book and listen to the audio, the way he fires Kemi, I was like, he is such a villain. The microphone cut off. When did it cut off? Yeah, he's such a villain. I apologize. I'm sorry if you didn't hear me. The microphone. Sorry, the microphone keeps cutting off. I apologize. Yeah. Okay, if you didn't hear. The mic keeps cutting off. Okay, I'm gonna write down what I said. So the audio that got cut off, write it in the description box of what I said. I do apologize. What would I rate this? I would give this a 4.5 out of 5 stars. Would I recommend? I would. If you read the first one, I would highly recommend reading the sequel. And I think the sequel is. Stay tuned for more.